What if basic needs were free? With AGI, it's becoming reality.
Unpack model for post-scarcity future.
Welcome to the Dope Dive. We cut through the noise, get straight to the insights. And today we're tackling something huge. Imagine a world where your basic needs, food, water, shelter, even healthcare, are pretty much free. What if work wasn't about survival anymore? What if it was about, purpose, meaning? With AGI, artificial general intelligence, and automation accelerating like crazy, this isn't just sci-fi. It's becoming a real possibility we need to figure out. So our mission here is to really unpack a fascinating economic model that's been proposed. It's designed for exactly this shift towards what they call a post-scarcity future. The aim is prosperity for everyone, but without messing up human nature or our need for purpose. That's crucial. We'll dig into its two phases, its core ideas, and how this kind of world might actually function.
Exactly. And the stakes are incredibly high here. This isn't just some theoretical game. We're genuinely at a point in history with this chance for unbelievable global prosperity. But yeah, it's not guaranteed. There's a real danger of massive inequality or even society just grinding to a halt if we don't get it right. What I find compelling about this model is it's not painting some perfect utopia. It feels grounded. It looks at human behavior, real economics, lessons learned. It's aiming for something workable, something that can actually survive in the real world.
Okay, let's get into that vision then. You mentioned two phases. The source lays out a kind of blueprint, right? A transition phase, roughly 2025 to 2040, and then a post-scarcity economy from 2040 onward. So what are the big picture goals? What's driving this?
Well, the primary goals are pretty fundamental. First off, broad-based prosperity. Making sure the huge wealth AI creates lifts everybody up, doesn't just pool at the very top. Second, and this is critical, human dignity and purpose. Finding ways to decouple basic living from a traditional job, especially as AI handles more labor. Beyond that, the system needs to be incentive compatible. It has to work with how people actually are, not against our nature. Rewarding contribution, rewarding positive actions, and finally, it just has to be survivable, adaptable, built for real-world pressures, and implemented gradually, based on evidence, learning as we go.
That makes a lot of sense, especially the point about human nature. I mean, history is full of economic plans that look great on paper but crash because they ignore how people actually behave. Does the source dig into that?
It does, yeah, and that's really a core strength here. Any system that lasts has to align with human nature. History is pretty clear on this. You look at, say, 20th century communism. A lot of its failures came down to ignoring basic incentives, assuming people would just work hard without personal gain, which, that just wasn't realistic. Even small-scale experiments like the egalitarian kibbutz communities in Israel. Economic studies show they ran into problems. Things like brain drain, where top performers left because everyone got the same reward, or free riders just showing up to benefit from others' work.
Right, those are classic challenges. So how does this proposed system tackle that? How does it work with human nature?
Okay, so it designs incentives specifically to leverage our nature, not fight it. For individuals, maybe your job title isn't the main status marker anymore. So reputation, creativity, contribution, those become the new ways to gain respect, to succeed. Things like cultural capital, ethical leadership, that could gain real prestige. It channels ambition in, hopefully, more positive ways than just money.
Shifting competition a bit.
Exactly. And for families, groups, the model tries to align with family goals, build community identity through shared projects. Think of cities competing to be the best AI innovation hub, using that group pride for progress.
A bit of friendly competition.
Right. And for cooperation, altruism. The system actively supports funding public goods together. Open source AI research, environmental work, funded collectively, maybe through social wealth funds, where citizens actually have a stake. It's clever. You're not just a recipient, you're a stakeholder in the collective good.
That reframes citizenship, doesn't it?
It really does. And competition isn't eliminated either. Markets, entrepreneurship, they're still there, spurring innovation, but with stronger guardrails to stop monopolies getting out of control. And the whole thing is built on feedback. Treat the economy like a complex system. Test policies small scale like UBI pilots. See the data, adjust, improve.
Okay, so the big takeaway here is realism, robustness. It's trying to motivate people, use cooperation, stay resilient. It accepts we have drives and tries to steer them productively. So that's the vision, the foundation. How do we actually start building it? That leads us to phase one, the transition 2025 to 2040. This is where AI starts augmenting work in a big way. AI co-pilots, robots helping out, but also, yeah, the real risk of job displacement. The goal is cushioning that blow, right?
Right, cushioning the blow intelligently. And a key piece of this transition is rolling out universal basic income, UBI, but gradually. Maybe starting late 2020s, it's modest, a few $100s a month perhaps, funded initially by maybe closing tax loopholes, a small automation dividend from tech profits, nothing too disruptive.
So not enough to make people stop working entirely.
Exactly. Look at Finland's UBI experiment back in 2017-18. No big drop in employment, but people felt better, less stressed. Then as automation ramps up in the 2030s, the UBI scales up too. And that's where you tap into the fruits of automation. Maybe a robot tax on companies replacing jobs with AI.
Directly linking the gains to the support needed.
Precisely. Or a value-added tax, like Andrew Yang's freedom dividend idea.
Yeah.
Taxing consumption, which could be huge as goods get cheaper. Some researchers even talk about a windfall clause for AI firms. If they hit massive profits from AGI, a slice automatically goes to society for UBI, public goods.
So it anticipates success and shares it.
Yeah. UBI stabilizes the economy, keeps demand up, and it creates pressure to automate the bad jobs. If basic needs are met, who wants to do dangerous, dirty work for low pay?
It pushes innovation in the right direction.
You got it. And we have precedents. The Alaska Permanent Fund dividend, they've shared oil money for decades. It cut poverty, didn't kill growth.
Alaska's interesting, yeah, a good proof of concept. But scaling that up nationally, globally, that's a big leap. And the plan isn't just income, right? It mentions predistribution, universal basic capital, UBC, and skills. How's UBC different?
Good question. Yeah, Alaska shows it can work, but scaling needs serious funding and political buy-in. That's where a predistribution of capital comes in. UBC isn't just cash. It's about giving citizens an actual stake in the means of production, essentially. Imagine a social wealth fund that holds equity in major tech and AI companies and pays dividends out to everyone.
Like a national endowment fund, but for AI wealth.
Kind of, yeah. People like Nobel laureate Joseph Stiglitz, Ray Dalio, they floated ideas like this, spreading the ownership of the future economy.
It reminds me a bit of the post-WWII GI Bill in the U.S. That wasn't just money. It was education, home loans, capital, and skills. Built a huge middle class. So UBC could be like a startup stake for young people. Education, maybe some seed capital, a share in that AI fund.
That's a great analogy. And tied to that is the skills piece. Massive investment in lifelong learning. Digital literacy, using AI tools, but also uniquely human stuff, creativity, EQ, plus universal high-speed internet devices, like rural electrification back in the day, foundational infrastructure.
And maybe even public AI tools, like GPS became a public good.
Exactly. These predistributive measures are vital to avoid, a future where a tiny few own the AI and everyone else just gets by on basic income. And to keep innovation humming during this phase, maintain competitive markets, strong antitrust enforcement to stop monopolies.
Avoid that rentier dystopia you mentioned.
Right, where wealth comes just from owning AI, not from doing anything, and redefining productive work, incentives for part-time jobs, creative grants, recognizing caregiving, volunteering, arts, plus a strong safety net, universal health care separate from jobs, housing support, things to help people adjust.
And maybe different corporate models.
Yeah, encouraging things like employee ownership, co-ops, so workers share directly in productivity gains, and regulating that human-AI boundary, making sure AI helps people, maybe limiting full automation in really critical areas.
Right.
For safety, for keeping humans in the loop.
Wow, okay, it's definitely comprehensive. But what about the pitfalls? Big changes like this always hit bumps. What if unemployment spikes anyway? Or there's social unrest?
The source anticipates that. For high unemployment, the fallback is an emergency job guarantee. Public service jobs infrastructure, environment for anyone needing work, inflation concerns. Tie UBI increases to actual productivity gains. Use smart taxes on those monopoly profits. The key is being proactive as the wealth grows, not waiting until it's all concentrated. And the politics, getting people on board.
That's huge. The framing is crucial, calling UBI an American innovation dividend, appealing to patriotism, self-interest, highlighting potential bipartisan support from libertarians who like direct cash, progressives wanting safety nets, businesses needing consumers. So, if this goes according to plan, by 2040, we'd see poverty way down, people working fewer hours maybe, higher education, more entrepreneurship, a really dynamic economy where the benefits are spread wide. That really does set the stage for phase 2. Okay, we've navigated the transition, phase 1 is done. But what happens when AGI gets so good that the cost of making almost anything, energy, goods, services, drops near zero, minimal human labor needed? This is phase 2. The fully automated post-scarcity economy 2040 and beyond. What does that look like?
This is where things get really transformative. The idea of guaranteed basic needs becomes reality. Food could be virtually free from automated vertical farms, robotic farming, lab-grown stuff. Healthy food for everyone, super cheap. Shelter, automated construction, making housing quick and affordable. Water, basic energy, public utilities.
And healthcare.
Education. Healthcare. You might have AI doctors, advanced biotech, making general care free or very low cost. Education. AI tutors, personalized learning, open platforms. Knowledge basically becomes open source. Even intellectual property laws might change drastically, maybe rewarding creators with reputation, not just licensing fees.
So it's not about forcing everyone to be equal, but just genuine material abundance. Basics are covered.
Exactly. True abundance. Currency becomes less important for necessities because they're just available.
Okay, but if money isn't the main driver for survival, what motivates people? Where does purpose come from? This is where it gets philosophical, doesn't it?
It does. The source talks about evolving incentives, moving beyond money towards meaning. Status, esteem, they become the new currency. Competition shifts. It's about education, art, science, leading community projects, moral achievements. You might earn recognition like a master scientist or a community hero. Your contribution is your status.
Interesting. And creativity, exploration.
Big focus there. Lots of support for arts, science, personal growth, maybe grand challenges, prize competitions for huge problems like climate engineering, and strengthening communities. People organizing around shared passions, environmental work, space exploration. Civic engagement itself could be a meaningful role.
Of a job in building community.
Right. And tackling potential aimlessness. Strong mental health support. Maybe a purpose year for young adults to explore. Education focused on character, finding meaning.
But even with abundance, some things are still scarce, right? Like prime real estate, unique art.
Good point. Not everything becomes infinite. So markets would likely still exist for luxuries, unique goods, but maybe less cutthroat because wealth is more distributed. For essential scarcities like, say, water rights in a dry area or rare materials, the approach might shift to public allocation or rationing. Managed cooperatively, maybe globally, not price gouging.
And AI helps manage all this.
Yeah, AGI could be incredible for logistics. An internet of goods, optimizing supply chains, matching needs efficiently. Not a top-down planner, but intelligent infrastructure. Currency might stick around for optional stuff, or maybe new things emerge, post-scarcity credits, reputation scores. The overall picture is maybe a mix of vibrant, collaborative commons for basics, alongside regulated markets for other things. A shift from owning stuff to accessing experiences. How does governance adapt? Democracy in a world of plenty. The idea is maybe more direct citizen involvement, more deliberation, maybe liquid democracy where you delegate votes on specific issues to experts you trust. And global coordination becomes even more vital. Sharing tech, maybe a global prosperity fund for developing nations, avoiding AI feudalism where some countries hoard the benefits. And controlling the AI itself. Absolutely critical. Strong ethics rules, oversight bodies, ensuring there isn't just one all-powerful AI but a diversity of systems. Decentralization is key. Legal systems change too. Property law evolves. Maybe AI can own itself. Communal ownership. Rethinking IP. Focusing laws on quality of life.
It sounds amazing, but even in phase 2, what could go wrong? What are the big risks?
Still risks, definitely. The source flags a few. Extreme inequality. That rentism scenario, again, is tackled by ongoing predistribution, taxes on wealth hoarding, democratic ownership, authoritarian control. Guarded against by keeping governance democratic, transparent, decentralized, with citizens empowered because their basic needs are met.
What about motivation? People just getting lazy or decadent?
That's the loss of motivation fear. The answer proposed is actively shifting culture, replacing the profit motive with drives like curiosity, honor, beauty, promoting personal growth, science, art. It's Keynes' permanent problem. What do we do once the economic struggle is over? We have to find new purposes.
Consciously designing for meaning.
Exactly. And environmental limits, strong sustainability ethics, circular economies, AI monitoring the planet, technological stagnation, keep encouraging diversity, human creativity alongside AI.
Okay, it's a stunningly detailed vision, but how do we actually get there? You mentioned a roadmap, using the US maybe as an example. Let's focus on those critical first 5 years you mentioned earlier, 2025, 2030. How does it kick off?
Right, those first 5 years are absolutely foundational. It's about laying the groundwork carefully. So 2025 to 2030, you'd see pilot programs starting up, small-scale UBI trials in different communities to gather data, An AI productivity fund is established, maybe capturing a tiny fraction of corporate income generated by AI advancements to start building capital.
Testing the waters, basically.
Exactly. And crucially, investing heavily in people. Things like free community college becoming widely available, a big push for AI literacy for all so everyone understands the tools shaping their world, universal broadband access, making sure everyone's connected.
Building the human capital and infrastructure side?
Precisely. And initial funding. That could come from targeted tax reforms, maybe closing some corporate loopholes, the small financial transaction tax, boosting things like the earned income tax credit. Modest steps.
And the narrative.
Super important in these early years. Framing it all as an American innovation dividend, making it about investing in the nation's future, competitiveness, benefiting everyone from the technological leap. It's about building political will and public understanding before the bigger UBI-UBC steps later.
Okay, so pilots, education, infrastructure, initial funding, and getting the story right, that makes sense for the first 5 years. Then what? 2030, 2035.
Then you start scaling up based on the pilot data. National UBI and UBC legislation gets passed. Maybe starting around, say, $800,000 a month UDI, funded now by bigger mechanisms like a carbon tax, or requiring large companies to allocate some stock to the social wealth fund. You might see moves towards a shorter standard work week. Universal health care gets properly implemented, separate from jobs. Programs for automated affordable housing start rolling out.
And changes within companies, too.
Yeah, encouraging corporate governance reforms like employee representatives on boards, mandatory profit sharing, aligning workers better with the productivity gains. Investing in community and cultural programs becomes more central, too.
Got it. And the final stretch of Phase 1, 2035-2040.
That's when AI deployment really hits full stride. The focus is on smooth transitions. If automation does cause unexpected unemployment spikes despite UBI, maybe that robot tax kicks in more strongly. Education evolves further, a future preparedness curriculum in schools, maybe a national service option, civilian or military for young people, building cohesion and purpose, and all along using AI itself to constantly evaluate policies, track outcomes, and allow for course correction. Continuous feedback.
And then the big leap into Phase 2, post-2040 implementation.
Right. That's when you really solidify the gains. Legally enshrining basic economic rights, maybe even in the Constitution. Key automated utilities energy grids managed by AI, for instance, might be nationalized or heavily regulated for universal access. You phase out the old clunky means-tested welfare programs because abundance makes them redundant.
And focus shifts towards purpose.
Exactly. Right. Establishing new national institutions, a national endowment for purpose, maybe expanding NASA or funding huge science projects to channel talent and ambition. Even military resources could pivot more towards civil projects, disaster relief, climate engineering.
And taking this global.
That's the ultimate goal, using diplomacy, tech sharing, that global prosperity fund idea to help developing countries leapfrog into post-scarcity too. Maybe through a totally revamped UN. The source makes a strong point about survivability here.
Yeah.
The nation or bloc that adopts this kind of model first, they likely gain huge advantages: stability, human capital, innovation, unity. It's about being the fittest system for the AI age.
We've covered a lot of ground. From that initial vision, the human-centric design, through the 2 phases transition, then post-scarcity, right down to the implementation steps, focusing on those crucial first 5 years. This deep dive really shows there's a potential design for an abundant future, not just a vague hope.
And it comes back to that core choice the source highlights. Advanced AI could concentrate wealth like never before, or it could empower everyone. This model makes a clear choice for empowerment. So maybe the question for you listening is, how do you start preparing yourself, your community, for a world where basic needs are met and finding purpose becomes the main event?
Yeah, it's not just about the tech. It's a profound shift in culture, in psychology, in what we value, how we define a good life. Definitely a lot to think about from this deep dive.